Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, so last week we covered the rafa. Let me just try to make this bigger. So we talked about rafa and we mentioned the signs for the rafa. So rafa comes in the form of a dhamma in 4 cases. It comes in the form of waw in 2 cases. It comes in the form of alif in 1 case, and it comes in the form of noon in 5 cases, and that's just to do with the verbs, that is. Okay, so let's continue then from here. So now we're going to do nasab now. Right, nasab is the next state. So remember, try and memorize these states. Okay, so you know this image I've given, take a screenshot of it. You know, you can use it later on, keep looking at it and try and apply it to words in the Quran. And like I said, if you want to send it to me and you want me to check it, inshallah, if I get a chance, I'll have a look at it. So okay, so let's zoom in then. Let's start. So nasab now. So now we're going to talk about the nasab. Now if I make the nasab over here, you'll get a bit more space, inshallah. Okay, so nasab. Now when it comes to nasab, there's 5 signs for nasab. Okay, so over here. So you got 1. It comes in the form of fatha. Okay, so fatha. Number 2 comes in the form of alif. That's number 2. Number 3 comes in the form of kasra. Okay, so kasra. It's number 3. Number 4 comes in the form of ya, and number 5 comes in the form of noon, or rather removal. Put that in brackets. Removal. Yeah, the removal of noon. So noon is removed basically. So let's look at that then. So rafa had 4 signs: dhamma, waw, alif, noon, and nasab has fatha, alif, kasra, ya, and the removal of noon. Those are the 5 signs of nasab. Okay, you with me, guys? So let's have a look then. So fatha, first of all, there's 3 words which take a fatha in the nasab state. You know what fatha is, don't you? Fatha is that. Okay, fatha. Yeah, 1 or 2. It's called a fatha. So there's 3 words that take fatha in the nasab state. So like we said before, ism, mufrad. Okay, remember in the dhamma one, I said ism mufrad and I explained that over there. So you can go back to that video and watch it again. So ism mufrad takes dhamma. For instance, if I say ra'aytu, I saw Zaydan. So the word Zaydan has taken fatha, and this is an ism mufrad. It's an ism mufrad, a singular word. So that's the first one. Okay, number 2 is jama taksir or jama mukassar, and we did that as well last time. So again, if I say something like this, ra'aytu al-rijal. Yeah, so ra'aytu al-rijal here, fatha is because it's in the nasab state. Okay, so nasab state. So you got ism mufrad, you got jama taksir, and I explained jama taksir last lesson, so you can go over that again, inshallah. Okay, the third is mudari', fi'l mudari' mansoob. So fi'l mudari', which is in the nasab state. Alright, so this is, for instance, if I say an ya'kula. So an ya'kula, because an has appeared before ya'kul, it gives it the nasab state. Yeah, so that nasab state is symbolized by a fatha. So this requires the present verb, applies to only present verbs, to be preceded by a letter of nasab. This is known as a particle, harf, particle of nasab, particle that gives verbs nasabs. Yeah, that's their duty, that's their job days. That's what they do. Okay, so that's an. So you got 3 over here now. Right, so 3 fatha. So fatha appears in these 3 forms of words. Right, let's move on to the next one then. Okay, so let me do this in a different color. Do this in green. Right, so next it's alif. Okay, this only applies to one type of word. Yeah, this applies to Asmaء الخمسة. Asmaء الخمسة. Remember those Asmaء الخمسة I told you about? Abu, Akhu, Hamu, all those. So all those, it applies to that. So in other words, you say, for example, Ra'aytu, I saw, Aba Zaid. So over here, the word Aba has come in the alif state. Yeah, so actually I should do it green, shouldn't I? Yeah, just to make it match. So it's come in the alif state. Yeah, so that alif there, that's because it's in the nasab state. And those 3 words, if you remember that table I done before. Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys have memorized it. But it's a very, very useful table. I always give it to my students. Abu Zaid al-Qadi, Kitabi 233, Fir'aun Muslimi. So that Abu column there, Abu, Aba, Abi. In the nasab state, it takes alif. Yeah, in the nasab state, it takes alif. So this is the only word in the whole Arabic language that takes an alif in the nasab state. Yeah, Ra'aytu Aba Zaid. Okay, let's move on to the next one then. Okay, kasra. So kasra, this again, it only applies to one type of word. Jam'a mu'annath salim. Okay, Jam'a mu'annath salim, sound, feminine, plural. Yeah, it only applies to this. So, for example, like if I say, Ra'aytu, I saw, al-Muslimat, the Muslim women. I saw the Muslim women. So here I would put a kasra here, even though it's in the nasab state, because Jam' mu'annath salim cannot take a fatha. It takes a kasra in the nasab state. Right, so Ra'aytu al-Muslimati. So that's the 3rd one. And the next one is Ya. So Ya applies to 2 situations. So I'll do this in pink color. Okay, 2 situations it applies in. 1 and 2. Okay, 2 situations where the Ya symbolizes the nasab. So number 1 is where you have a dual times 2. Yeah, a dual word times 2 word. So for instance, if I say Qara'tu, I read, al-kitabayn. Yeah, so Qara'tu al-kitabayn. So here, that Ya is what it's talking about. That Ya. So that's dual. I read 2 books. So in Arabic, when you say 2 dual, then you have to add the ain to it, and in the nasab state, it's ain. So if you remember the one above, okay, the dual was with the alif. Yeah, alif kitabani. It means exactly the same thing. Kitabani means 2 books, and kitabaini means 2 books. So in meaning wise, there's no difference. Exactly the same. It's just in grammar wise. So grammatically, that's how you're supposed to do it. Okay, and finally, the second one is Jama' Mudhakkar Salim. So above we done Jama' Muannath. This is Jama' Mudhakkar Salim, sound masculine, plural. So for example, if I say Ra'aytu, I saw, al-Muslimina. Okay, Ra'aytu, I saw the Muslims. Yeah, so this has to be written with the ya there, Muslimina. Now this is Kitabaini, this is Muslimina. So it has to be written with the ya like that. So if you look at the one above, Jam' Mudhakkar Salim, right? That was in the Rafa state, it was Muslimuna. And in the Nasb state, it's Muslimina. Again, there's no difference in the meaning. Muslimuna and Muslimina mean exactly the same thing. Yeah, it's exactly the same meaning. And the only thing that you have to remember is that in the Nasb state, if it occurs Nasb, you must write Muslimina. You can't say Ra'aytul Muslimuna. Just like you can't say Qara'tul Kitabani. You gotta say Kitabaini because it's in the Nasb state. Okay, and finally, the last part is the removal of noon. So the removal of noon, this is the Nasb. Now this only applies to the 5 verbs. Remember the 5 verbs that we done above? Yeah, if you remember these 5. Yes, the 5 verbs. Yaktubani, taktubani, yaktubuna, taktubuna, taktubina. Okay, so these 5 verbs, if I just take these, yeah, and I copy that, if I can copy it, yeah, done it. Okay, now see, this is what you can do with technology. All right, so I've got that there then. So these are the 5 verbs. Let me just delete some extra things, don't need to be there. Okay, so these 5 verbs that we have over here, right, they've got nouns at the end. Yeah. Now, if remember we said that an above, yeah, that particle of nasab, an. If an appears before any one of these, you have to remove the noon. Yeah. So let's say I put an there. Yeah. Then I've got to remove this noon. Make that a bit smaller. Yeah, so remove the noon. So you got antaktubu, antaktubi, antaktub yaktuba, antaktuba, antaktubu. So the removal of noon in these 5 verbs. Yeah, the removal of verbs, the removal of the noon in these 5 verbs. This is when an is added to the beginning of it. Yeah, so in the Rafa state, these noons remain. And in the Nasab state, these noons have to be removed. Tongue twister there. So, and that's it. So these are the Nasab ones. Make sense? Yeah, these are the Nasab words. So if I do the Nasab words, let's color them in a bit. Fatha, Alif, Kasra, Ya, and removal of Noon. Okay, so Fatha is in three words: Ism Mufrad, Jama Taksir, and Mudari, verbs, when they have an at the beginning. Gotta give it Fatha. Alif is added if it's in the Asma' Khamsa. Kasra, it only applies to Jam' Muannath Salim. Ya, it applies to dual nouns and to Jam' Mudhakkar Salims, the Ya. And the removal of Noon applies to 5 types of verbs when they have an before it. The an before that. Okay, so that's basically Nasab, that is. That's what you have to remember about Nasab. And if you it's kind of similar to what I've written in my table basically, but I just didn't do the verbs one. Yeah, so look, Abu, Nasab. Abu takes Alif there. Zaid, Fatha there. Al-Qadi takes nothing. So I didn't mention that one because Al-Qadi takes a Fatha. Yeah, nothing takes there, so I didn't mention that. Aini, that's the Ya one for dual. Ina, that's the Ya one for Jam' Mudhakkar Salim. And Kasra, that's the Jam' Muannath Salim one. Fir'aun, I didn't mention that. That's going to come when we discuss غير منصرف and nothing there. Okay, so that's basically what you have to remember for nasabs. Now let's have a look in the Quran. See if we can okay, in this surah من شر غاسق إذا وقب من شر النفاثات. No nasabs here as well. Alright, so let's move on. Okay, لم يكن له كفوا. So okay, kufuwan, what rule does this apply to? So kufuwan is, if you look in the list, if you're looking at the list that I've written, this is nasab because this word is a ism mufrad. So if a ism mufrad appears in the form of fatha, kufuwan. Okay, let's go up. Okay, tabbat. So here you have tabbat yada. So yada abi lahabin wa tabba. Okay, so this is actually the rafa state. Yada is in the rafa state. Yada. Okay, so we won't touch that. Naran, again, this is nasab because it has a fatha and it's ism mufrad. Ism mufrad. Likewise, the word that, ism mufrad. Hammalat al-hatab. So hammalata has a fatha because it's an ism mufrad. Okay, so those are some of the examples of that. Let's go up. Okay, رأيت الناس. الناس, this is ism, so it's treated as ism mufrad or ism jama taksir. However you want to look at it, it's ism jama actually, but it's the same principle. أفواجا, this is jama taksir, takes fatha. Sabbih. Now notice يدخلون has a noon on there. So when we said if the present verb, the noon remains, then that's in the rafa state. Tawaban, again this is the ruling of ism mufrad. Okay, let's move on then. Al-Kawthar. Inna a'taynaka al-Kawthar. Yeah, so what's this? So you can say it yourselves if you like. So this is nasab. It's got fatha and it's ism mufrad. Okay. Again, shani'a. The word shani has got fatha. It's again ism mufrad. Okay, let's look at this one. Okay, yatim over here, yatim. This is ism mufrad. Again, ism mufrad. Okay, just let me see one there. Rihlata, this is ism mufrad. Again, I see a lot of them are ism mufrads here. Okay, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا. Here, this is the noon's cut off. So this is an example of number 5. Yeah, where the hadf noon, removal of noon. So originally it was فَلْيَعْبُدُونَ. The noon has been cut off because this lam over here, this lam results in that. It's a lam al-amr. Called فَلْيَعْبُدُوا lam al-amr results in that. Just it behaves like an. Rabba is a mufrad. Okay. Okay, if you go up here, ألم ترى كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل. لم يجل كيد اسم مفرد. طيرا اسم مفرد. Okay, أبابيل. This is like the word فرعون. Yeah, غير منصرف. But again, it takes fatha. So it's like jama taksir. Okay, let's go somewhere in the middle. Right, go somewhere in the middle and see if you can spot any. Okay, what's Quran? Quran's got fatha. So what's that? That's a fatha because it's a mufrad. Tadhkiratan, why is that got fatha? Because it's an ism and it's a nasab, fatha is a mufrad. Okay, tanzilan, same thing. So you can get a version of the Quran, PDF or something, get a pencil and start marking these for yourself so you can do it as well. Al-Arda, khalaqa al-Arda, he created the earth. Al-Arda is nasab, it's a mufrad. Samawati, so why isn't samawati with a fatha? Because samawati is nasab with a kasra. So jama mu'annath salim. Yeah, it's number 3 in the list. Kasra, jama mu'annath salim. Okay, تحت again اسم مفرد. السر اسم مفرد. لا إله اسم مفرد. نارا اسم مفرد. إن كنت إني آنست نارا اسم مفرد. Okay, فخلع نعليك. So نعلي, the ya is there, it's a dual. So it's a dual. The ya, تثنية, the dual. الصلاة اسم مفرد. إن الساعة اسم مفرد. Yeah, so like I said, you can go through it and you can spot all these, and then you can highlight them. You can send them to me and I can check it for you. Okay, now let's apply last week's lesson and this week's lesson as well. Yeah, so let's check out last week's lesson. So last week's lesson is zoom out a bit. So we got Rafa, yeah, and you got Nasab as well. So Rafa, there's 3 symbols that symbolize Rafa. Okay, and the Nasab, you've got 5 that symbolize the Nasab. Right, so all you have to do is go through the Quran. Whenever you find a Dhamma, try to find out which one of these words it is. Whenever you find a Waw, which one of these words it is. Whenever you find Alif, and that way you're going to reconcile what you've studied, and you'll consolidate it as well. Okay, so let's have a little go at that and then we'll finish inshallah. So, okay, so let's say Atiyatun. Why does this have a Dhamma for? So you say, this is a Dhamma because it's an Ism Mufrad. Okay, good. Kullu nafsin. So why does Kull have a Dhamma? This is because it's Ism Mufrad. Okay, La yu'minu. Why does La yu'minu have a Dhamma at the end? Because we said Fi'l Mudari has a Dhamma because it's an Fi'l, it's a single Fi'l Mudari with no Noon at the end. Okay, Tawakka'u alayha hushu. So Atawakka'u as well, that's got a Dhamma at the end. Ahushu, that has a Dhamma at the end. These are all fi'ls. La ghanami. Ma'aribu, Dhamma at the end. Okay, Hayyatun, Ism Mufrad. Okay. Let's go down. So كلها, this is mansoob because fatha. لتخرج, so this لتخرج has a fatha on the jim because of the li, and that li has an unhidden there. You'll find out about this later. So that has a fatha. And you have بين, بيننا, بينك, the noon there. موئدا, نخلفه, Dhamma. So that's got a Dhamma because it's in the Rafa state, fail. Makanan, again, Mansoob state. Maw'idu, Ism Mufrad. Yawmu, Ism Mufrad. Yuhshara, the fi'l, the verb has an an before it, so it takes Fatha and Nasu. Okay, like we did it before. So, Alhamdulillah, we've done that. So have a go, inshallah. Practice, and remember, it's all about practice, trust me. Yeah, all the Arabic grammar rules, everything that you do is all about practice. Okay, so today we covered Nasab, yeah, and 5 symbols for Nasab: Fatha, Alif, Kasra, Ya, and the removal of Noon. So we've done Rafa so far, we've done Nasab so far, we've got Jar and Jazm. Hopefully we'll do Jar and Jazm both together next week, and that will be completed, and then we can carry on. So let's just look at the text and apply what we learned today. So he says, وَلِلنَّصْبِ خَمْسُ عَلَامَاتٍ. Let me try to make this a bit bigger. Okay, للنصب خمس علامات. Nasab, the Nasab state has 5 signs. Al-Fatha, number 1. Al-Alif, number 2. Al-Kasra, number 3. Al-Ya, number 4. And Hadf al-Noon, removal of Noon, number 5. أما الفتحة, as for the Fatha, فتكون علامة. This is a sign للنصب, for Nasab, في, in ثلاثة مواضع, in 3 places. Now you can see for yourself, some of the words have fathas on them, some of them have dhammas on them. So you're already applying what you learned so far, you're already identifying it. So fatha has a sign for nasab in 3 places. في الاسم, like اسم المفرد, والجمع التكسير, and in جمع تكسير, والفعل المضارع, and in the فعل مضارع. Okay, so in the فعل مضارع, present verb. إذا دخل عليه, when nasib, a particle of nasab, a nasib means a particle of nasab. When a particle of nasab enters before it or precedes it. وَلَمْ يَتَّصِلْ بِآخِرِ شَيْءٍ, and there's no extra word at the end. There's no extra word at the end means there's no noon. That's just another way of saying there's no noon at the end. Okay. وَأَمَّا الْأَلِفُ, as for alif, فَتَكُونُ عَلَامَةً, this is a sign للنصب في الأسماء الخمسة, in the أسماء خمسة, 5 أسماء. نحو رأيت أباك, I saw your father, وأخاك, and your brother. So that notice أباك أخاك with alif. وما أشبه ذلك, and that which is similar to this, meaning those 5. وأما الكسرة, as for kasra, then kasra is alama, it's a sign for nasab في جمع المؤنث السالم, in the jama mu'annath salim, in the sound feminine plurals. Yeah, like we said over here, sound feminine plurals. Let's bring this up. Yeah, it's over there. وأما الياء, as for ya, فتكون علامة, this is a sign للنصب, for nasab, في التثنية والجمع, in تثنية, dual, and in jama, and in plurals. Yeah, so meaning dual, noun, and plural means jama mudhakkar salim. So he hasn't mentioned it, but you know what I'm talking about. أما حذف نون, as for the removal of noon, فيكون علامة, this is a sign للنصب, for nasab في الأفعال الخمسة, in the 5 verbs, like I did over here, those 5 verbs. التي رفعها, which have the rafa state بثبات النون, with the remainder of the noon. So the noon remains there, if you remember over here. Yes, so over here the noon stays over here. Okay, in the rafa state, and in the nasab state the noon is removed. Yeah. Okay, and that's done. Alhamdulillah. And next week inshallah we'll do the others. Okay, any questions, guys? Do you have any questions? Yeah. No questions? Okay, alhamdulillah. So practice that. I mean, if you want to practice and if you want to send it to me, what you practiced, inshallah, I'll have a look at it when I get a chance. So at least you can get the idea of how this works. Because remember, without practice, you won't know how much you've learnt. Yeah, you might be watching this and thinking, oh, it makes all sense. But when you apply it, then you realize, oh, hang on, I haven't understood this properly. Yeah, so it kind of helps you understand as well. Okay, jazakumullah khair, guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.